Well, hello everybody, this is Trig. Welcome to Goso TV. Today is a very special episode because I want to tell you my story of where my fight or my struggle with anxiety began, the steps that I've taken, and what I'm doing now to be able to now be an example to you. Many people cannot talk about anxiety without feeling judged or without feeling afraid of losing their job. Many times, for those that have faith, that are people who love God, who are Christians or of other faiths, they feel guilt and embarrassed that they're not spiritual enough, that they should know better. Those are all things that I've dealt with. From the early memories of my life, I've always been a happy kid. When I was a little boy, I used to be into education and music. I've always loved school. In many ways, it became a place of success and affirmation for me. And then music has always been right there by my side. When I was about 10, 11 years old, I went through a very traumatic experience. The first of a few, when a war hit my city of Nicaragua, my country of Nicaragua. I remember seeing bombs, dead bodies, glass on the streets. And for months, I saw terror and panic all around. Came to the U.S. when I was about 11, 12 years of age. And I immediately began to succeed in school because that's what I did. I went to school, did great in school, got all A's. Also began to play music in church, which opened a lot of doors for affirmation and connection relationship. When I was in high school, I excelled and got into UCLA, my dream school. But then because of the second trauma in my life, I experienced anxiety for the very first time. Because I didn't have legal residency, I experienced what I now call the invisible immigrant syndrome. I became an invisible person filled with fear and anxiety stemming from my immigration status. I finally got my first job when I was 23 years old. I became a very successful musician and pastor. And then quickly I began to have, again, more connections, more success. I was studying in seminary. I graduated from college. I got married to my lovely wife, to the most beautiful woman in my life. We had children. We bought our first house. Life was just going as well and as perfectly as I could imagine. But then my next trauma happened. My beautiful grandmother who raised me since I was that 11-year-old boy died tragically. Within the next year, my father, who was my inspiration, who taught me music, who taught me how to speak in front of others, who gave me joy and who was there for me as my inspiration and spiritual advisor, also died. And within those 2-3 years of the death of two of the most significant people in my life, I began to experience my first panic attack. I remember sitting in my pastor's office and suddenly the whole room became really small. And for the next few years, I began to learn more about what anxiety is and how it starts in your brain and what are the triggers and what are all the things in your family of origin and in your past that trigger and that cause anxiety. So for 2 years, I was in therapy. I got on anti-anxiety medication, which I had in the past, but never needed it as much as I did during those 2 years. For the next 2 years, I began to experience the darkest night of my life. My job, my sense of purpose, my sense of what my identity was as a follower of God, as a husband, as a man, as a father, was all being tested in tremendous ways. Thankfully, my counselor, the medication, spiritual advisors, the love of my wife, all of those things came together to sustain me. After those 2 years of being in therapy, I finally felt better. I finally began to understand all that was happening in my life. And that was about to be tested. Right after those 2 years of therapy, I lost my job. And I didn't know what to do professionally, but I knew that I had to keep going and keep moving forward. I decided to host a conference called the Finding Grace Through Anxiety Conference to basically bring all of the people in my life that had healed me, that had helped me, and to present to others my story. And it was an amazing success. A few months after that, I wrote my first article published on a major magazine called High Anxiety, which again provided a platform for me to be able to talk about my message. After that, I decided that it was time to start a web TV show called Gozo TV to bring all that I had learned and other people and friends and guests who had similar stories, as well as bringing therapists and nutritionists and fitness coaches and friends together to record these shows called Gozo TV to give people a glimpse into the hope that I had found. After that, a friend of mine called me to come to his church and to speak in front of 500 people to share my message of joy and of finding grace through anxiety. I've been to schools. I've met with people individually. On social media, I've had so many people reach out to me just to talk about what they can do to overcome anxiety. I've helped teens, I've helped children, I've helped couples. I've had the privilege to help young adults of all different backgrounds and cultures, from Asian Americans to Latinos and white and all the people, whoever they may be, that are looking for hope and are looking to find grace in the middle of their anxiety. And so now I am here today, a person who is in process. I don't like to say that I have beat anxiety. Instead, what I believe firmly is that I have found the grace amidst it, and I have been able to overcome it one step at a time. And so I want to invite you, my friend, whoever is out there listening to this video, to not give up, to not lose hope. I want to be an example to you and to be vulnerable, to be honest with you about my story so that you can find hope. Psalm 30 verse 6 says, though there's pain in the night, joy comes in the morning. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time.